Good morning. Today, 12/11/2022. I am going to do a little bit of talk about how that is impacting me and how I pay attention to these things and why. There's this detail in astrology called a decan, which means it has to do with the time and space we're in and a 10-day cycle within a month. There are 3 10-day cycles every month. And if you break down and pay attention to your 10-day cycles in a month, 3 10-day cycles, right now the cycles are in the house of Sagittarius, or Sagittarius for me is the first house. And it's going to be the middle 10 days now. So it starts the 11th through the 20th, which will start a new decan. And so what is that telling me today? Well, I woke up and I was feeling like very kind of troubled by wanting to do things, having a lot of roadblocks in my way, wondering if what I'm trying to do is even possible. Is it reasonable? Am I wanting something for myself that isn't what's mine? All of these things, right? I'm kind of assessing, but it's more like I'm looking at what is and isn't mine in the fairness category. Now, the decans are largely for understanding our cycles, and in lots of ways will help us to understand our physical health. When we better understand our cycles, we have a better handle on our health. So today, as I'm doing this work, I had the most interesting cards come up. So I've been wanting to really, strike out on my own and know that I can be my own person, and that I don't have somebody controlling me, and really frustrated by the fact that someone else is telling me what I can and can't do. And I probably have been having this occur all my days, right? And what is this decan telling me? Well, it is telling me that perhaps I've been allowing this in a way, because if you consider that I've lived a lot of my life feeling maybe unworthy, feeling like my childhood, that initial cycle in my earliest parts was so disrupted and so difficult, not being wanted by really, my mom loves me, no doubt about it, and my dad loves me, and there's no doubt about that. But neither one of them were ready to be parents, didn't want to be parents. I was the middle child. I was the one that really took the hit for everybody. Not an uncommon thing. I don't consider myself a black sheep, but I do have ways of questioning things that brings about irritation to the process, because, well, people don't want to do truth. And I'm Jupiter, first house, Sag, rising. So I that's my rising sign. So what do I get this morning? I get up, I have the Tinker's Dam here, and I'm going to just do a little bit of an a tarot reading on this, because it's just kind of interesting. I'm asking myself, am I asking too much to want to move, to be where I think I'm supposed to be, to have this little bit of way forward? Is that too much? Am I being, and I don't know. One of the things I'm going to say is I don't know. And what I am going to say is that I'm not going to force what has to be. And so I simply asked the cards, where are we today? And I get this. Okay, so what is this card saying to me? Well, this is the Tinker's Dam, and it's saying in every way that the Mare of Water, which would be my previous not here anymore spouse, is standing in the water in some ways with alligators ready to eat his legs off. And you can see that he's holding on to a package that's got a plus sign on it, like he's been attempting in some ways to hold something down, like a weight of medical, or like he's been preparing and acting as the doctor in some ways. But you can see it's quite delusional. It's just not going to be, no matter what. And today, interestingly enough, I realized the truth in this. That yes, temporarily he has the control. Temporarily he can manage how I go forward. And just temporarily. And if I just let go of the fear, no, I don't want to do anything that causes him harm. I don't want to do anything that feeds the gluttonous system of greed, lawyers, people who make a lot of money off of us when we're in pain like this. No, I don't want to feed that. That's not an image I want to feed. So, I'm just coming from a very different place than he is. So then I asked the cards, because sometimes when I read, I don't really ask the cards directed questions exactly. I like to know what the cards want me to direct my energy towards, so that I'm following the universe and the universe can tell me what I need to know. So then I get this card. Now this card is deeply interesting to me. Enslavement. Okay. I've spent so much of my life as a human, mom, dad, as a child, feeling like I'm not worthy. There are things about this that as a little girl, I didn't ask for much. I didn't want much. I felt embarrassed to ask for anything for myself. Just shame, shame, shame. My dad would ask us to wash dishes, and if we had one little thing wrong with them, he would bring every dish out of the cupboard and make us rewash them. So yes, we really had, you have a little vajayjay girlfriend, and you have certain things you need to do, and these are the things. So I was well equipped in this sense, because my childhood taught me as a female that I was somebody else's property. So I fell really deeply into the agreement, believing that that was true. Change your mind, change your life. That was my last decan, the last 10-day cycle that I had. So here I am, understanding that what has this been for me? Well, it's been absolute enslavement, which I can no longer do. I can no longer abide by. I mean, look at the creepiness of this card. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. This guy's been hanging on and holding me down for lifetimes. Now, I had a really interesting experience in that I have a rock I go and I pray and meditate at. And every time I'd walk past that rock, I'd notice the backs of my calves burned. I think that he was an inquisitor. I think he burned me at the stake at some point. That his job was my minder for forever. And my chart suggests that I'm really quite vulnerable to psychic attacks, to something outside of the normal. And so, there it is. So in addition to all that, the next card I asked again, okay, so we have that. What's going to be the outcome? Where am I going with all this? And I get the Maris of Air, where, here we go. Again, I'm thinking about the truth. Where am I? What am I doing? How am I going forward? Notice that I'm the Maris of Air. He was the Maris of Water. He is delusional in his thoughts of how he's going to manage me. And I, through education, have found my way out of my complicated childhood issues. And now, as you can see, through my education and ability to have poise, the universe itself has got my back and is taking care of me, is looking out for me. I'm okay. No matter how painful this feels, I'm going to be okay. So then I said, okay, so I'm going to be okay. What's next? Beautiful card, says it all, fate. That things will play out in ways as they are intended. That, yes, someone has spent years, lifetimes. I've spent lifetimes running this wheel and not getting anywhere. But this time, There's something different going to happen. Notice that book that's open. I went and I did the one thing I could do for myself in this lifetime that needed to happen. I opened who I am back up. Who am I? I'm a medicine woman. I'm somebody who's always been a medicine woman. I'm always looking for ways to heal myself and to heal others. Chiron in the 3rd house, in Pisces, where my south node, where all information gets bled through and excreted. That is what I'm here to do. I'm here to do this work, and we can no longer afford to buy the stories we've been told about who we are physically and what we need medically. The doctors have failed us, not because they intended to, not because they're not smart. They failed us because they bought the pharmaceutical lie, like many of us have. We all have, actually. So with that, please do hit the like, share, and subscribe. Consider having a reading from myself and my co-reader. Join me on twiggie.com and TikTok. And thank you very much for joining me here.